El que no vivió una guerra nunca va a entender realmente lo que es padecer una guerra.
Horror.
¿No?
It's a horror, you know. It's the worst thing that anybody can experience, I think, is the fear of unknown, of you don't know if the next bomb is going to fall on your head.
Piso 25 del US Tower One en Belgrado, en la zona del viejo Belgrado. Bueno, Novak, muchas gracias por recibirme aquí en Belgrado. Es un gran placer charlar con vos y encima aquí, en tu ciudad.
Placer para mí también. Bienvenidos a Belgrado, a Serbia. Gracias.
Gracias, Novak.
Por vuestra presencia.
Sos una persona que viaja mucho, constantemente. ¿Qué sentís, qué sientes cuando estás aquí, en Belgrado, en Serbia? ¿Una energía distinta?
I mean, Belgrade is my home, my hometown, and of course, the energy that I feel inside of this town is unlike any other town that I visit. You know, we have a saying in Serbia, "Svuda pođi, kući dođi," which means you can go anywhere, but when you come back home, you come back to your roots, you come back to where you belong. So all the childhood days that I spent here, all the different locations that we can see from this beautiful view are bringing some incredible emotions and sensations to me and memories that I carry with me when I'm traveling. And I traveled for, you know, 25, 30 years and I lived outside of Serbia and not spending too much time here for probably 15, 20 years. So I only last few years with my wife and my kids, I started to spend a bit more time here in Belgrade, in Serbia, and I missed it. You know, I miss being with my people, speaking my own language, and seeing my parents who are here, who live here, and all the wider family and friends. So it's a special kind of feeling of belonging that I have in Belgrade.
Novak, ¿cómo asumes ser la referencia, el símbolo de un país joven que mira hacia adelante, pero no olvida su pasado, que tampoco olvida su pasado? ¿Cómo te sentís siendo una referencia de este país?
Well, Serbia is actually a very old nation. First, we have to say that because we have a very rich history and tradition. But in a particularly recent history, so let's say recent history, even last 100 years, First World War, Second World War, and especially now in the last 30 years, we suffered a lot. And not only Serbian, but Croatia, Bosnia. You know, unfortunately, the country that was used to be one country as Yugoslavia broke apart in 90s. And I am born in 87, like Messi, so I don't remember very well, you know, the beginning of 90s. I was quite young, but I remember the second part of 90s, and I remember that this country was basically sanctioned, was going through sanctions and embargo, which means that we could not export or import anything. And I remember very vividly that I was with my grandfather waiting in the line for the bread at 5 a.m. that would feed our whole family, you know, my grandfather, my aunt, my uncle, my cousins, my brothers, my parents and me. So it was everybody was living in a very small apartment because we had no other choice. And those are the things that have been, you know, integral part of my character, of who I am as a person today. And when I look back, I have a positive reflection on all of that because it has strengthened my will to succeed, to create something out of my life. And I had an incredible support from my parents that believed in me and that invested the last euro that they had of their money. So those kind of circumstances and growing up in these kind of circumstances was tough. there was a lot of adversity, a lot of challenges for my parents. And I was a kid, I was a very young boy. And I chose to play sport that is very rich sport, very expensive sport for Serbia, for our conditions, because we are, you know, not a rich country. So, and we are a country of very successful athletes, like basketball players, you know, basketball clubs, and national basketball is very successful. We have a very rich tradition. And we had some amazing games against Argentina as well, and the World Championship and Olympic Games and so forth. In the past that I remember when I was a teenage boy, I was watching. And we have a lot of great athletes, but tennis was never a sport that had a long tradition, you know. Before, let's say, our generation came, and then all of a sudden we had the four number one in the world in several years. You know, we had Ana Ivanovic, Jelena Jankovic, myself, and Nenad Zimonjic. All of us were number one in the world in tennis, which is, of course, very global sport from a country that has no tradition and so forth. So everybody's wondering, how come? You have no system. You have, you know, yes, we have tennis courts, we have tennis clubs, and there was some tradition, but far away from, I don't know, French Federation or French system or American or English or, you know, any of these countries, Italian.
Similar al
or
Argentina.
Argentina is a country that has a very rich tennis tradition, you know. So we were not even close to that. And now the situation is different, and hopefully this can have an impact on the younger generation, and hopefully we can establish a system that will help in the next decades for this sport to live. But I do feel that that all that I have achieved in my life has an impact on Serbia, particularly from the sports perspective. Hopefully I have inspired myself and all the other tennis players, both men and women, that have succeeded from this country, a lot of the young kids, to take the tennis racket in their hands, because that, for me, is the most beautiful thought that I can have, of seeing, you know, kids playing on the street, not even on the court or on the grass, just playing tennis, you know, playing against the wall of the building or something, you know, like we used to do. And that's, for me, that is beautiful, you know. That means that the spirit of tennis lives inside of the people, inside of the nation. So as I said, I haven't been in Serbia much in the last 15, 20 years, so as I'm starting to spend more time, I'm starting to notice things through, of course, my foundation's work and so forth, but also I personally would like to make sure that we have future of tennis. That tennis doesn't, in a way, I don't want to say, because it's a kind of tough word, but die after we retire. But it is a beautiful country that had a lot of hardship. But I think in sports, it is always some kind of positive emotion, that people are linking sport to joy, happiness, pride. They really respect athletes, and they welcome us here as heroes. And when you feel that energy, when I won Olympic gold this year and came back in this reception, I mean, it's unbelievable feeling. So when you represent your country, you do it with all the heart, soul, body, everything. You give everything. And that's where I think there is a similarity between Argentinian people and Serbian people. Very passionate, a lot of temperament, a lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of pride, a lot of joy into sports particularly. And I like it, you know. That's why I like Argentinian people, because they strike me as somebody that lives the life with heart and passion for life. And that there is something that you can feel, even when you speak to somebody, there is something that comes out, you know, even if it's not through the words.
Es que, Novak, vos lo has ganado todo, pero el legado, ¿no? Dejar un futuro es quizás hasta más fuerte para vos, ¿no? Lo que vas a dejar, ¿no? El legado.
Yes.
¿A eso te referís?
Yes, I do want the legacy to live. What is this legacy? I mean, of course, I'm very proud of the achievement part of my legacy, which is related to all the success I had for my country, for myself, for my family on a global level. But I would like the legacy which I would want to be the primary legacy is to really inspire young people and young generations to live a healthier life through activities, through sports, through mindful and healthy mindful living, and obviously, if I can, inspire them to take a racket and play tennis. Because in the end of the day, as a tennis player, I feel as an ambassador of the game. The tennis as a sport is bigger than me, is bigger than anybody in the history. So I would like that there is more tennis players, because it's a beautiful sport that can offer a lot of positive things to your life. You can see the world. There's not many sports that can, like tennis, allow you to see the world. And when I say see the world, you actually literally see the world. I mean, every week you can go to a different country, different continent. And if there was no tennis, I definitely would never see so much of the world as I have seen so far in my life. And it's kind of like a circle, you know. I have seen so much world, I want to go back to my country and my region, and I miss it. But yeah, that's the legacy, and really through foundation as well, that lives for more than now 15 years and plus, which is focused on early childhood development and early childhood education. We have some amazing programs in our foundation. We are very proud of it. I'm very proud of my wife that is in charge of our foundation for many years. She has a great team of people around her. Our director of foundation, Maya, that I love very much as a friend as well of my family. And you know, foundation is like a family, you know, and it's a very sensitive, how can I say, area of life, you know. Philanthropy is, you know, people also in Serbia, the mentality is like this, that mostly people don't like to talk when they help somebody. And I understand that, and I support it, and I am doing myself as well when I am, you know, supporting somebody personally or through a family that is not related to my foundation's program. We'll do it that way. But when it comes to foundation, I think it's very important to promote that and speak about that, because the foundation is focused on one specific direction, specific subject and topic that in our country, when we started with our foundation, was a big issue, because more than 50% of the children in Serbia did not have access to the preschool education programs or kindergarten or anything. So we try to tackle this issue. We try to accept the challenge, and we did. And now we build over 50 kindergartens. We have, I think, over 25,000 children in the program. You know, we work with so many thousands and thousands of parents with different programs. For example, one program is called Path of a Champion, that is related to sports. And this program is very dear to me, because obviously as a sportsman, you know, I see a lot of the challenges that parents of sports kids who do different sports are facing on an everyday basis. So with this program, through panels, through workshops, through different sessions that we have, we try to bring top coaches, experts, sports psychologists from all the sports in Serbia, and also not just Serbia, but in the region, because we had different conferences in different countries of the ex-Yugoslavian countries, to talk about their experience, their knowledge, to share with the parents face to face, and also to listen to the parents. What are their problems? You know, because there's so many problems that, like my parents never played tennis. They never watched tennis. They don't know. They didn't know about tennis at all. They watched maybe 3 matches of tennis in their life before me, and then I fell in love with the tennis because on the TV I saw finals of Wimbledon, Pete Sampras, when he won his first Wimbledon. It was 92, I think it was. And I was like, oh my God, what is this sport, you know? And then, of course, the next day, Daddy, please buy me a racket, you know? And that's how it starts. And then I believe in destiny. I believe that everything is happening with reason. There is no coincidences. Mm-hmm. So when I was 4 or 5 years old, they were building, at that time, they were building 3 tennis courts in front of the restaurant of my parents, like 50 meters away. What are the chances of that? You know, we don't have many courts, especially in that mountain resort where my parents used to have the restaurant, yes, which was feeding our family, basically. And so we had to go a lot. Every time we had the school break, we go there. And so I was helping the workers, bring them beer, bring them drinks. Mm-hmm. They were helping me do the court with them. So I did with my hands some of the things when I was 5 years old. So I fell in love. And I was like, oh my God, I see TV, I do the courts. For me, it's done. I'm completely in this sport. And, you know, so I'm very grateful to my parents for giving me so much support. Because at that time it was very, very difficult for them to buy me an extra racket or shoes or pay the coach or a court or whatever. So all of these things I try to have in my mind. And when I leave the legacy, when you talk about legacy also, I try to be an example. I make mistakes, everybody makes mistakes, you know, and I try to be aware of them, but be a human in the end of the day, be a good person. You know, somebody that is going to be remembered as a friend, as a good friend, as an athlete who not only, you know, created a lot of great things through results and achievements, but also used that platform of the results and the status to help others that are in need, particularly in my region, that obviously my country, and also the other countries in the region that I am mostly emotionally connected to, which is kind of logical.
Novak, ¿tus hijos ya entienden por qué la gente te mira como te mira? ¿Entienden tus logros deportivos? ¿Ya son conscientes de ello? ¿Te preguntan sobre ello?
I think they are aware. They are more aware than they used to be. Particularly my son, he's almost 10 years old and he plays tennis. Doesn't play so much, but you know, he likes it. He likes also athletics, track and field. He likes skiing. You know, I used to ski and I used to do competition a little bit when I was a kid because my father was a skier. My uncle, my aunt, all the family, they were skiers. That's why we went to we spent a lot of time in our childhood days in the mountains, and so I love snow. I love being in the ski boots and on the skis. And we did the last winter ski with my son, and he won one competition of like 30 kids. It was his first race. He was so proud. He said, "I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay in the mountain. This is my sport," you know. But this is, you know, the kids are kids, you know, and when we were kids, we were like that too. You have an unbelievable passion and joy and playfulness, and you have a curiosity to explore life, to try different sports, to try different things. So for me, it's important that they are seeing me as a father in a real meaning of that word, like father who is at home with them, who goes through all the routines of the bedtime, the morning, taking them to school, you know, speaking to them about life, playing with them. For me, that's who I want to be in their eyes, not the father who is Novak Djokovic, who is outside. And I really do my best to have that relationship with them. And it looks like it's going well. I don't know. You know, I guess I will know when they grow up. But they are aware of what's happening. This year they were at the Olympic Games when I won the gold for Serbia. That was the most emotional moment of my career. And having, you know, I was even more emotional when I saw my wife and my kids there. I mean, it's a perfect scenario.
Perfect.
Like a Hollywood movie, you know, honestly. So I could not ask for more from the God, you know, and I'm very, very grateful to have healthy family, to have 2 beautiful children. I'm grateful to my wife for being such a rock, such a incredible mother and woman that holds our family home together. So yeah, I'm a blessed man.
Novak, vos sos padre, sos marido, sos esposo, sos hijo, sos amante de tu familia. ¿Qué te hace sentir frágil? ¿Qué es lo que te hace sentir sensible? ¿Me explico?
Sí, sí, sí. Entiendo. Entiendo más que hablo, pero hablamos al término de... hablamos en español al término. What makes me fragile, what makes me vulnerable? Actually, more things that you can imagine. Kids. My kids, but also other kids. Mm-hmm. And I always felt kind of emotional about kids, but when I became a father, mm-hmm. When I see kids suffering, it breaks my heart. To be honest, I don't know how to explain this, but this makes me really fall into depression almost when I see kids suffering, you know, because they are the purest beings on this planet and they deserve the best. They deserve to have the future. And when I see these wars and everything that is happening from my region, because I've been through war and I've been through bombing of this city for 2.5 months, every day and night. I've seen people dead, I've seen a lot of different things, and when now I see the wars happening, you know, in the other parts of the world, I don't understand. I mean, I think I know why that's happening, unfortunately, in the politics and all this stuff, but I'm really sad, because in the end of the day, you know, if we don't leave a better world for our children and next generation, we didn't do a good job. We didn't do a good job at all. So that's why one of the biggest reasons why we're focused in our foundation on the kids, you know, is mm-hmm. because we want to create a better society, a better education, a better country for the kids. Because in the end of the day, they are the ones that are going to lead this country. They're the ones that are going to maintain and hopefully grow Serbia, Serbian gene, Serbian spirit, you know, in here and also in the world. And for me, this is important. It's a big mission, you know. It's not just for me, but I'm hoping that all the people of my country can feel that, because we all need to like wake up a little bit and say, hey, you know what I mean? Like, okay, it's normal, let's say, that you think about yourself, you know, your health, all these things, your family, but we all need to think, be more altruistic. We need to think about every day of our life, what's going on in the world around us. So kids make me really feel vulnerable, and family, of course, all the dear people in my life, mm-hmm. Injustice in the world, particularly towards kids, towards animals, towards nature. I'm a big lover of nature and animals, so when I see that suffering, that kills me as well. And what also, I just thought of that, you know, which is not connected to this, but in a way it is also making me feel sad and making me feel really fragile, is the suffering of the people with their health on a daily basis, you know, and kind of this, when they have this feeling of they cannot be helped, you know, they have a feeling, there's this fear, I don't have a solution. Because for me, I had some big illnesses in my family when I was a kid and everything, I'm really sensitive on that. So when I see people with cancer or everything, or some big illnesses, terminating illnesses, I feel, you know, very sad for that, you know. And I'm, you know, cannot believe that we are in the 21st century with all the technological developments, with all the stuff that we are still unable to have on a global level, the solutions for these kind of illnesses, you know. And it really breaks me, you know, to see that suffering. So I imagine the world a healthier in a sense of mentally healthier, but physically as well, connected to nature, respecting the nature. You know, we have the cities that they keep on building, everybody keeps on building buildings, you know, forgetting about the ecology, forgetting about the importance of every tree. Every tree brings us oxygen, brings us life, you know, brings us energy, brings us food for our soul, sun. You know, we are closed up, we are with the phones and all these things. So I know Argentina is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. I was in Perito Moreno 10 years ago when I was there. It's one of the most beautiful natural sights that I have seen in my life. Unbelievable power of nature, you know. And I know that a lot of Argentinians that I meet that are not related to tennis, but I just meet people on the street, that I see a lot of them who are with their backpack, hiking, going around, always exploring nature. And I think that's because you have the culture of outdoor. You have also good weather, of course, which helps. But this is important because we are too much inside, you know. And tennis is, luckily for us, outdoor sport, so we can play outside.
Novak, vos dijiste muchas veces, el tenis me salvó la vida o me salvó la vida de la familia. ¿Te permitió aislarte mentalmente del dolor, de aquel pasado de los bombardeos hace 25 años? ¿Te ayudó para aislarte de esos malos pensamientos, entre otras cosas?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, tennis has for sure saved and also incredibly improved the life of my family and me. No doubt, at least in my case, and I'm sure that my parents will agree, I mean, particularly my father and my brothers, that tennis is the main reason of who we are today, you know. And as I said 10 minutes ago, tennis is a beautiful sport, very global sport that can show you the world, that can give you wonderful opportunities, but it is very competitive, very tough sport because it's individual sport. And it's challenging in a way that if you are not top 100 in the world, you're not going to make money. So only 100 people on a men's side and women's side, maybe 250 together, can make a living from this sport in the whole planet. And tennis is third most global sport in this planet, watched by 1.5 billion people. So, you know, these are some other issues that are related to tennis that we don't have time to talk about, but this is also something I'm very passionate about, and I try to contribute with my profile, with my status, in a way, with my power, to through PTPA that we founded to help increase the number of people that can live from this sport, because that's the ultimate goal. But yeah, tennis has given me opportunity to go outside, to see the world, to earn money for my family, earn a better living for my family, to get out of the trouble that we had here in the 90s, particularly end of 90s. You mentioned the bombing, 2.5 months, every day and night. You know that Belgrade is the city that was destroyed and rebuilt more than any other cities in Europe. 49 times it has been destroyed and rebuilt. So this city has unbelievable resilience and unbelievable soul. And this is what I find inside of myself, this kind of spirit that lives in this city is inside of me, of never giving up, of always being proud of where you come from and representing that in a best possible way. So all of these hardships that I've been through, and my family and my people, And again, I have to say, because I know that what I say is also listened in Croatia and Bosnia and other countries, in Macedonia and Slovenia, Montenegro and so forth. And I always mention them as well, because they suffered a lot as well, you know, in the recent history and wars even more than Serbia. So I understand the pain, I understand that difficulty, you know, and I in the end of, after I remove all of the, let's say, constructs of the society and all the limits, I see us as same people, really. And I try to send that message, you know. Unfortunately, the wounds of the war are still very fresh, and there's still tension. But through sports and through philanthropy, there is some opening, there is some space for connection to be established, for people to be closer to each other, to be more friendly, to be more understanding, to be more forgiving in that way. And that's the message I always try to send. Claro. When I speak about the suffering of my city and this, I don't forget about others. I always have them in my heart, in my mind. But yeah, this is the kind of memories that will stay with me for my time here in the 90s and all the experiences. It's staying with me. It can never go. But I move on, you know. I don't, how can I say, hate anybody because of what happened. No. I will never forget, but I'm forgiving and moving on. I'm moving on, and I think that this is probably the best that we can do as people, is, you know, remember the things because it's important, part of the history and part of understanding what happened, and having that consciousness because it's impacting your life and how you see the world and people. But you have to move on, because otherwise you always have the ropes or the chains around and you cannot breathe, you cannot experience the world.
Pero entiendo que no es fácil. El que no vivió una guerra, quizás nunca va a entender realmente lo que es padecer una guerra. ¿Me explico?
Sí.
Que estar en un refugio escuchando las bombas, yo no lo viví y nunca voy a entender ese temor, esa incertidumbre, ¿no? O sea, sí. El que no vivió la guerra debe ser, o sea, jamás creo que va a entender realmente lo que se padece, ¿no? Lo que se sufre.
Horror.
¿No?
It's a horror, you know. It's the worst thing that anybody can experience, I think, is the fear of unknown, of you don't know if the next bomb is going to fall on your head. For 2.5 months we had that every single day and night, and we had this alarm or sirens that start to ring, so to say, or blow up when the planes are coming. And they would wake us up every single night, you know. And I remember my mother one night, you know, because, you know, you're sleeping, and then in the middle of the deepest sleep at 3 a.m., you wake up, you know, because you hear, and then we have to pack and go in the dungeon, you know, underneath our building, and try to hide in the cave. And so one day, you know, I mean, it happened a few times, but I remember that first time when it happened, my mother, when she stand up in the dark, she hit because we slept all together, not knowing what's going to happen. We cry every night, and she hit the head against the heating, you know, all the, I don't know what's it called in English, but anyway, the heating thing that heats the house, and she hit the head, and she felt unconscious. And so my father at 3 a.m., you know, his wife, my mother, is unconscious. I am 12 years old. My younger brothers are 8 and 4. They are crying. We're, you know, he does, you know, it's a panic, big panic. And but it is the experience that strengthened us, you know, as family, strengthened us as people. And again, I'm not wishing this to anybody. I don't think, again, let me be very clear. I don't think that anybody should go through a war in order to be tough. There are other ways to develop mental toughness. But for me, this was quite a big part of my development. And very early, as a very young boy, I had to mature. I had to take responsibility. I had to share the role with my father because I was the oldest son. And there was no time, or, you know, so he was talking to me as somebody who is grown up. Okay, you have to do this, you take your brothers there, you do that. It's wartime, you know what I mean? So it's, everyone is panicking, everyone is lost, everyone is screaming, everyone is afraid. And yeah, I mean, just going back to it, you know, makes me now have the, you know, goosebumps and shivers. You know, it's terrible feeling. You know, terrible feeling when you just think about. And I remember when I celebrated my 12th birthday, I saw a plane in the middle of the day. I was in the tennis club, and you know, the alarm starts going. Yeah, you know, you can hear, and then all of a sudden you see the plane. And then releasing the rocket, you know, in a military base, or unfortunately, they even bombed hospitals and schools and stuff, and bridges, and then you're thinking, I mean, what can you do there? You cannot do anything. And this feeling, this was the worst. The feeling that people have inside, the fear. You have no control. You have no power. There is this higher power that can do anything, can destroy you anytime, you know. So when I see that happening in the Middle East as well over the last 20, 30 years with all these countries, when they bomb everyone there, I don't know, it breaks my heart. It's unbelievable with 21st century, after all the history that we know of what was happening before, that we still use the power of weapons in this way over innocent people. It's incredible, incredible.
Novak, cuando tus hijos sean más grandes, ¿te gustaría contarle, te gustaría explicarle lo que sucedió, lo que viviste vos, cuando sean más grandes?
Yeah, they're too young for this now, but yes, I will explain to them when the time is right. But again, I will explain what happened and who did it, but not in a way that, what is very important for me, that they hold anger and hatred and grudges over certain nation or whatever that bomb us. I want my kids to know the history, because it's, of course, they will know it, but through the words of their father and the experience of their father and their uncles and grandfather, grandmother, and all my family and my wife's family and my wife. We all been through that. We all been here. But I don't want that to hold them back in any way. I would like them to understand that this is what we've been through, and that the resilient spirit of this country, of this city, is part of their gene, part of who they are as people. They are not born in Serbia. They were born outside. And they were born in Monaco, because I lived in Monaco for many years with my wife. And but of course we were coming here a lot, and now they spend much more time in Serbia in the last few years. And we of course speak Serbian as primary language, etc. And you know, it's important that everything comes at the right time. You know, they are 10 and 7, and you cannot put everything on the table because they are not perceiving it yet. So, and hopefully during their lifetime they will never experience the war, because it's just horrible.
Te voy a preguntar de tenis.
Sí.
Temas más alegres, quizás.
Okay.
El Australian Open 2008 fue el título que te permitió a vos creer y darte cuenta de que estabas preparado para ir por esos sueños que tuviste desde chico. ¿Fue como el momento exacto que vos te convenciste de que podías ir por esos sueños?
Yeah, I mean, my childhood dream was to win Wimbledon and be #1 in the world. And I achieved those dreams when I was in 2011 in Wimbledon. But my first Grand Slam came in 2008 in Australian Open.
Yes.
And of course I remember it very well. I won against Tsonga in the finals. I had my family with me, my brothers, my parents, and it was incredible feeling. I mean, always for the first time, you know, when you win something first time, it's like the most special. And that was the first time after I won it that I really believed that, okay, now I know that I can win Grand Slams and achieve my potential. Because, you know, there's always pressure that is building up. You know, of course I have deep inside myself believed that I will become #1 one day, be a Grand Slam winner, but in reality it takes time. For some guys like Alcaraz, it doesn't take as much time, but for most of the guys, you know, it takes time. So, you know, you have to earn that, you have to work for it, and for a lot of unbelievable players, it never happens. So that dream became a reality of winning a Grand Slam in Australia, which has been a very special place for me, both in tennis and also some other stuff. But I don't know, I always played my best tennis in Australia. I really enjoyed playing there. And it could be also one of the reasons why I was winning so much there is because I won my first Grand Slam there. And that kind of feeling of incredible joy and satisfaction that I felt on that court was always following me. And my family being there, that really opened the door for me like this. And I felt like, okay, I am capable of doing this. Now let's continue going forward.
Obviamente la rivalidad con Roger y con Rafa y tuya, el trío, es una de las rivalidades más increíbles de toda la historia, de todo el deporte, no del tenis, de todo el deporte. ¿Cómo la describirías, esa rivalidad, esa tripartita?
Well, I see it as you described it, you know, as one of the greatest rivalries definitely in all the sports. And I'm very proud and very honored to be part of this group. I really am. And I was saying this a lot because they're both older than me. You know, Rafa is older one year and Roger is, I think, 6 years. So they have definitely been, in terms of the rivals, in terms of the other players, the biggest influence on my game, on my development as a professional tennis player. And you know, when I was starting to be a kind of a contender for Grand Slams and be on that highest level of professional tennis, when I won my first Grand Slam in 2008, but the next one I won in 2011. So 3 years I waited to win another slam, and I was #3 in the world all these 3 years. I was #2 actually also in 2009, and I was playing on a high level, but I just could not win the Grand Slam because of these two guys. They were so dominant, and I didn't have the solution or the formula of success against them at that time. You know, I could win maybe 1 or 2 matches here and there, but big matches, I was not winning. And so these 3 years have been really crucial for my development, and because it made me even more hungry to really, particularly, win against the two of them. Because I knew that if I continue, of course, my general growth as a player, but if I figure out the way to beat these guys in the big matches, and I knew that a lot of it comes from here, that I will kind of solve the riddle of a Grand Slam for me. I will start to win more Grand Slams. And that's what happened. That's what happened. Another thing that really helped a lot was winning a Davis Cup for my country, the only Davis Cup that we won for Serbia in 2010. That really gave me incredible confidence and wings, and I was like riding a wave. But the rivalries with these two guys have been amazing. And when Roger said goodbye to tennis a few years ago, it was, you know, we all expected that moment to come because he's older than me and Rafa, you know, 6 years, and we knew that he's not going to play forever. And it was a sad moment for the sport, because Roger is an icon of our sport, incredible player that not only as a player but as a role model has inspired millions of people around the world. And seeing him say goodbye was also, it was part of me and Rafa that like went as well with him. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of hearing people that were saying, you might feel that, but I was like, I don't know. But when I was there and when I saw that actually happened, he said goodbye, I was like, wow, okay, this touched me as well, because even though we are, you know, big rivals, greatest rivals, but you know, as Cristiano Ronaldo was saying about him and Messi, they shared the stage for so many years, and we shared the stage as well. You know, I saw them for many years more than I saw my mother. You know, so even though we haven't been really close as friends, but I'm quite confident to say that we've known each other pretty well. You know, also from the locker room, you know, as you can imagine. But you know, these kind of rivalries are something that attracts millions of people to the sport and links people to the sport in a way that is, how can I say, eternal. Eternal. Because people, if they are not necessarily the fans of tennis, mm-hmm. they will be fans of maybe one of us, but I think they will all be fans of our matches and our rivalries, because this is something that will stay there for generations. And I was just very proud to have had that experience of 60 plus matches with Rafa and whatever, 50 with Roger. Unbelievable. I don't know if any rivalries will have that many matches really like I had with Nadal, for example. I think rivalries are extremely important for sport, any sport, because people like this duality in a way, you know. Even though I don't, that's not my maybe life's philosophy, mm-hmm. but I understand that people like, you know, Boca River, left and right, right?
Right.
This, that, but that's why it was Roger, Rafa, and then Novak. What are you doing there? You know, who is this guy now? You know, there is no space for third. But then I created the most beautiful threesome that tennis has ever seen.
Novak, hubo muchos momentos épicos en tu carrera, un montón. Pero quiero llevarte a uno en particular. La final de Wimbledon, cuando ganaste Wimbledon por quinta vez, levantando los 2 match points de Roger con su servicio, con su saque. ¿Cómo hiciste para salir de ese momento mentalmente? Uno podría pensar, bueno, Roger tiene 2 match points con su saque, un gran sacador, es imposible que se le escape. Sin embargo, te mantuviste calmo, lo diste vuelta y terminaste ganando. ¿Lo atesorás como uno de tus grandes momentos ese?
Absolutely. It's one of the greatest moments that I ever experienced in my career, considering the circumstances, as you said, you know, being 2 match points down. And basically, if you see the whole match statistic, he was a better player. He had more points that he won. All the stats were on his side. And I think I won. I never broke his serve except except that moment in the late in the 5th set, and that was the year when it was the first year that they introduced super tie break. No super tie. It was a tie break on a 12-hole. Mm-hmm. You know, first time, and then we played the final on 12-hole. You know, a tie break in the 5th set, which was unbelievable. Just the whole match. Atmosphere on the court, him playing better than I was playing, but somehow I was being able to maintain a kind of a rhythm of the match, and I was ahead 1 set to love. I was ahead 2 sets to 1, but all the sets that I won, you know, were 7-6, 7-6, and 13-12. And he won the other, was 6-3 or 6-2 and so forth. So I felt that he was better that day, but because it was grass, which of course is his best surface, but I'm also not so bad on grass, that if I manage to hold my serve and do the important things in the right way, kind of stick to the basic things that are important, on a long run, physically, I was ready to play 10 hours, that I'm going to win. And I really believe that, until he broke my serve in the 5th set. And when he was serving the next game, I was like, ooh, this is not great. But I still, you know, maintained calm, and that's not happening always, trust me. For people that know me know that I'm not always very calm on the court. But that time, I had to do that because it was Federer, and it was finals, and it was stadium was for him, and all these things. And I said, you know, okay, if he aces me, he aces me, too good. But if I'm on the ball, I'm gonna make him play. I'm gonna do my best to put him in a position where he has to think that he has to do something special. And that's where I think he started to make mistakes. And I made a really good passing shot on the second match point. And match turned around. I mean, it obviously was, I don't know, it was 9-8, 9-9-8 or 10-9 for him at that point. I don't even remember what was the score, but it was late in the match. And I remember it was there was a shadow on the court. There was a low sun, and it was half of the court was dark, half was sunny. I was returning from that side where I had sun in my eyes like this. I was like, oh my God, something else, please, But I entered that zone of mental focus and composure, and I didn't pay attention on anything that was happening, the noise, and I was locked in, and then yeah, that was really the mindset. And like when I saved match points against him in US Open, he was also 40-15. Served wide serve. I read his serve. I anticipated he's going to go there, and I made the winner. Where at Wimbledon, at 40-15, he served T, and I thought he's going to go there. So I made the split step, and I was slightly leaning towards the forehand side to cover that wide serve, and I saw that he's serving T, and it hit the net, like top of the net. And it went out. But if it went like this more over the net, ace, finish.
Yes.
Sometimes this is all it takes. The finest margins are determining the sport's history, and how many times we've seen it in football or with offsides or something like this, last-minute goals, or basketball, last-second three-pointers, or And I think this is these are some of the most memorable moments in the sport's history that people talk about and remember for many years. So I'm extremely proud to be part of one of those matches.
Novak, 24 Grand Slams, una Copa Davis, el oro olímpico. Not too bad, ¿no? Diría
sí, sí.
Ubaldo.
Sí.
¿Qué más?
¿Qué más?
¿Qué más? ¿Hay más? ¿Qué te motiva a partir de ahora?
It's a legitimate question that you're asking me. I feel that I still have in myself more Grand Slams to win. So the feeling that I have of knowing that I can be a contender to win a Grand Slams is what still drives me to compete, particularly for Grand Slams and for my country. I love playing Davis Cup I love playing for Serbia, period. So when I have to push myself and motivate myself, there are two things. One is what I told you, of still believing and knowing that I have a game and capacity to be fighting for Grand Slam titles and to be winning. And number two is that the tennis is still my biggest platform to do other things that I care about and share the messages that I care about, whether it's related to tennis, whether it's related to society, whether it's related to some entrepreneurship business that I have, whether it's related to whatever it is, you know, something that really builds the legacy for me, builds the brand. So I still feel that I enjoy the process and it brings me all these benefits. So why not? You know, why not? Some people think I should leave tennis on a high, like now, leave tennis. You want gold, you want everything, say goodbye. Some people think that I should keep going as long as I think I can be a favorite for a Grand Slam. So I'm more on the second side. Let's see. Maybe this is going to change. I don't know. Right now, I'm still feeling I want to keep going. How long? It's becoming more difficult for me, you know, to travel and to always find motivation. It's definitely not easy with, you know, kids, and I don't want to be out away from home so much. But I still feel the drive. So unfortunately for the ones that want to retire me, they still have to see me play for a little bit more. And I am super excited to be in Argentina very soon and to be part of the farewell of one of my dearest friends on the tennis world, Delpo. So I cannot wait for my experience in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, with the passionate Argentinian people that I love, and let's have a great time.
Gracias, Novak. Un placer.
Gracias,
Gracias por recibirme acá en Belgrado.
Muchísimas gracias a vos.
Gracias.